Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, Staying Clean, and I'm so blessed to be here with you to share my strength and my hopes and my recovery with you. And today I want to talk about not allowing your situation to overwhelm you. You may be dealing with some major things in your life and they seem like they're overwhelmed and you can't find a solution and you just wore out. You don't know what to do. And you feel at a loss. And this is the way I felt in my active addiction so many times. So many times I was overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do. And only recourse I thought I had was to medicate myself not to feel so overwhelmed and lost in my situation. But recovery taught me to do the next right thing, to chip at the problem one day at a time. And that's all well and good, you know, but it was still hard for me to do because I felt so overwhelmed of how I put myself in this position that I have by my actions for myself and by allowing others to deviate me from putting me first. So, how did I get back on track? Well, it was very simple. I started to look at TV, the news, uh, and I would watch situations, bad situations that are happening with people all over the United States. And then I came across on YouTube this woman, and she had a beautiful home. She was married, her life was good, and then her husband decided to end the relationship and put her out. She was hurt, she left, but she left everything and she wanted to close that chapter. But she ended up living in her home. I mean, not in her home, but in her car for over a year. She had lived in her car over a year with the things that she accumulated. She had a job, but she lived in her car. Well, that was like a van. And she was very optimistic. She was very positive about taking care of herself. Uh, you look at her, you wouldn't seem like she was going through all these things. But due to the fact that she was living in the state of California and the rent is very high, she was not making three times the amount so she can rent. So she lived in her vehicle. And I share this with you to let you understand that there are a lot of people that in this world that their situation is way worse than mine. That they're going through some heavy situations. You have dealing with the floods destroying in Indiana. They're destroying the land. People losing their homes, just wiped away. Uh, we have earthquakes. People losing loved ones, and where they live, they have nothing. They're just barely surviving. And as I look at these things, this should make me feel that my situation is not that bad, that I have an opportunity to overcome my situation by doing the next right thing, by working on my situation better. Not focus on the problem, but focus on the solution. So I should not be so bad because if I was in the boat of that lady being homeless, I understand the lifestyle I would have to have. And I would have to keep myself positive to continue so I can build a sound foundation to make my situation better. But if I focus on the problem and not the solution, then my situation will take hold of me and destroy whatever's left of me and send me down the rabbit hole where I do not want to be. Because I've been homeless before, so I know. In being homeless, you have to keep yourself positive. You have to keep yourself focused on making your situation better. You have to keep yourself focused on doing the next right thing, to chip at the problem that you have and be grateful for the steps moving forward that you make. That's what kept me moving forward in my homelessness and coming out of it. I was homelessness and I had my sleeping bag set on fire. I carried 2 axes. They call me the Axe Man. But I respected myself and I respected others. And the things I would see on the light rail, how people was being treated, I stepped up because I didn't feel good about myself and my situation, but I didn't want nobody else to suffer like I suffered. So I would be the person in between the fool and a person that's doing the right thing. Also, I put myself in a situation like that because I didn't feel good about myself and I felt that I was expendable because I didn't have loved ones and friends to associate with, to talk to. I was totally by myself. So the way I kept myself focused and doing the next right thing, I helped others in the capacity that I did. And after doing all that and saving my money and helping others, I ended up going to jail, charged with aggravated assault on a drunk person that I did not even touch. But due to the fact that I had a weapon and a person that feels afraid and fearful of their life and they call the police, you can be charged with aggravated assault in the state of Arizona. I never knew that, but I know that now, that I was charged with aggravated assault. And I didn't even touch the person. But due to the fact that I had a weapon and the person saw the weapon, they called the police. But they was considered drunk. It was in the police report, but I was still charged with aggravated assault. So out of me helping, I ended up losing. Out of me helping, I ended up losing. I lost $5,000 in the storage with things I brought because I wanted to get me a studio apartment, and I brought things to put in the studio apartment. I was scheduled to look at a studio apartment the next coming week, but all that went up in smoke due to the fact that I was helping someone. And I ended up losing all that and going to jail. And after experiencing something like that, how could you want to help somebody when you help somebody and you end up in that predicament? Rather interesting, isn't it? But I didn't blame the person that I was helping. I blame myself for not knowing the laws of the land. I understood that the police officer had their own agenda. And the only agenda was somebody had to go to jail, and they wanted somebody to go to jail. And they sent me to jail. But that was the cattle. That was not the catalyst, but that was what started me in the road to live my best life, a road to recovery. Because when I got out of jail, I went to a recovery work program, and my life got better. And that's when I learned to keep the focus on myself. By experiencing that situation, I learned to keep the focus on myself to make my life better, to work solely on me. Because I was up in age, I was 50 plus, and I did not want to go back to living on the streets homeless. I did not want to sleep on the bus stop or the sleeping bag and have to clean the bus stop each and every time because it smelled like piss and needles and pipes and everything else was around there, and I would have to clean it up to sleep there to make it decent for myself so I wouldn't catch anything. And the interesting thing is that when I did that, a lot of times the police, they'd be sitting back in the cut and they would watch me clean up that area and lay there. And there were times where the police would come by and say, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you know, there's some actions going on here. Gang members are doing some stuff that you need to watch what's going on around you, leave or come back, but we're just letting you know." And that made me feel good that police officers was looking out for my benefit and respected my situation. But as I got out and I got into the work program, I had a lot of things that I had to overcome in my life. And I know that things can be overbearing because I'm in a work program now. I'm working for them. They're taking all my money, except I get $20 until I caught up on my rent. And then I was getting the remainder of what I worked. And then after being 2 weeks ahead, they told me I needed to find a job. And I found a job. I worked at a temp place, and I became one of their best workers. I never had an issue about working, and all my excuse me, all the employees that I work for love my ability to work and do the job. And I ended up with a full-time job eventually. But I was able to take care of myself and able to work the program of recovery and build a life for myself by keeping the focus on myself. But what kept me focused and not being overwhelmed about my situation is gratitude. Looking back at the situations that I've overcome, that I made the right choice and how my life got better, how I blessed. Gratitude. Gratitude when a woman got off the bus and a guy tried to rob her and take her purse and was kicking and beating her, and I jumped off the bus and I beat him down until the police came to help the lady. I had gratitude for that the police officer said that, "Why did you do something like that?" He says, "You're homeless, we know of you, and why did you do?" I said, "Because she didn't deserve that. Why did you do that?" And the police officer He gave me $100 out of his pocket. He said, "You're a good dude doing something like that." And I got blessed. That was many moons ago, so I don't remember who it was, or the police officer or whatever, but that was many moons ago. But the interesting thing is that I got blessed for helping somebody else. And that's a part of my history, that even though that I was homeless, I helped a lot of people. And that kept me feeling good about myself. And I realized in my recovery that by me helping others, I felt good about myself, that I have a history of helping others in their time of need, sacrificing myself. I used to carry, when I was homeless, I used to carry extra food, and people would come down to the bus stop and they'd be hungry or they want something to drink, and I would give them some water. I give them a sandwich, and we have a conversation. And they knew this. People knew that who I was, but they also knew that I didn't take kindly to being disrespected, that I would go to war in an instant. And I really didn't care about me. I was more cared about having the respect of the streets, because to survive on the streets, you must be respected. You must be respected, because if you don't, the streets will eat you up and spit out. And that's a fact. So the point I'm trying to make today is that when you feel overwhelmed about your situation, when you feel that you see that there's, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know how I'm going to face this situation, keep it simple. Just do the next right thing. Understand that your problem is a mountain, and how you overcome that mountain is you chip at that mountain. You chip at it and chip at it until that mountain is gone. How do you think that they make roads through mountains? They clear the way. They clear the wreckage so they can make a path through the mountain. And you do the same about your problems and your situations. You chip at it. And each chip that you take away from that mountain, you should feel good about what you've accomplished and what you're doing, which makes you keep on chipping at that mountain. But if you constantly looking at the problem and being overwhelmed about the situation, you're not going to do anything to overcome the situation, because you're going to let that problem eat you up on the inside. And then you're going to want to medicate yourself so you don't feel that pain. I've been there. I've done that. And it kept me into active addiction for 40 years. I was taught in recovery that everybody makes mistakes. How we can handle that is be in the solution and not the problem. Always look at the solution of the problem, not the problem. And the problem will get taken care of. And you have to chip at that mountain. And the most important thing that I've learned for myself is that I must have patience. I must have patience on overcoming the situation, because it's going to take time to chip at that mountain so that mountain be gone, that problem be gone. So I have to work at it, and it will get better in time. But I have to go through what I need to go through to get to the other side. And be good about that. And be grateful that I'm not homeless. Be grateful that my home didn't get swept by flooding. Be grateful that my home is not destroyed by an earthquake, by natural disasters. Be grateful, because so many people today are experiencing loss of everything just in an instant. And they don't know what they're going to do. And it's overwhelming to lose everything. That's why I'm so grateful for what I have today. Make my situation better. You can make your situation better. Look at the things that people are facing that are overwhelming, and you should have gratitude of where you're at today and what you're experiencing and how you're overcoming your situation, one situation at a time, doing the next right thing, chipping at that mountain so you can achieve the goals that you choose to achieve to make your life better. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Strokes, wishing you a great day. And remember, and please remember, that it's okay. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to deal with the situation one day at a time. It's okay to chip at that mountain. It's okay to feel the way you feel. But remember that you must stay focused on the solution and not the problem. You must stay focused on the solution, not the problem. You must understand that, like I understand, the solution takes time to overcome the situation. It's just you ever notice how they prepare a road on the freeway, grade it, how they support it before they lay the tar on it, make sure it's built back up so it can deal with the travel of cars on it constantly, that they check it out fully before they do the work on that area. And once they do it, it lasts 10, 15 years, maybe even longer. But they have to check out the situation, assess the situation, make a plan to overcome the situation, and then implement the plan. And that's the same thing we have to do with the problems of our lives, like Robert has to do. He has to look at his situation, what he's able to do, how long it's going to take him to accomplish and take care of the situation and move forward. And knowing that eventually the problem will get solved by chipping at that mountain one day at a time, one situation at a time, and working for the closure of that problem. I hope what I shared allows you to not be overwhelmed about whatever's going on in your life that you feel that is having you in a funk of feeling bad about yourself or having remorse and hatred for others that gave you the problem or helped you along to destroy the situation in your life and then walk away. People do things that they do, but you want to keep the focus on yourself and learn from the situation that has happened to you and move forward in your life. And things will get better. And remember, you chip at the problem and the problem will disappear. And as it disappears, you had a learning experience of how you got there, what you did to overcome the situation, and you should be proud of what you've accomplished in your life. Because no matter what happened, you stood up, you handled your business, you made your life better. And it was a perfect learning experience of how you overcome your situation, doing the next right thing, chipping at that mountain one day at a time. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Strokes, wishing you a great and wonderful day. And remember, you are the most important person to yourself. Only you can make your life better if you keep the focus on yourself. Drugs made me a dope, but now I got hope because I'm not a dope anymore, because I'm clean and I'm sober. That was my saying many moons ago. I'm not a dope anymore, but I have hope because I'm clean and sober. So are you. So feel good about yourself and where you're at today. Today's August 18th, and tomorrow is my birthday. And the thing that I enjoy is I look back at my year, and I look back and the gratitude that I have for what I've done for myself and for the things I've done for others. And I feel good about myself. And I'm happy that I have recovery today. I'm happy that recovery has given me a life far beyond my dreams. I know that my addiction took so much from me, but recovery has given me a new way of life, a new family, new happiness, and a new growth for myself. And I appreciate that. And that's my blessing. That is my gift to myself by working on myself to make my life better. That I did not let life beat me down where I stayed in the funk like I did in my active addiction. So I'm proud that I am in recovery. I'm proud that I have years of recovery. I'm proud of what I've accomplished in my life. And I'm still moving forward to make my life better. And I'm happy about that. And I'm glad that a power greater than me, which I choose to God, allows me to live another year. That is totally a blessing from Him. So I am happy about being 67. The interesting thing is I had cancer, prostate cancer, had the operation, and I still go through situations in that manner, and the body's jacked up. The body is not like it used to be when I was young. But I believe that if I didn't have recovery, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't know that I would have had cancer, and cancer probably would have killed me. But due to the fact that I was in recovery, that I took care of my body, that my body blessed me by having the operation and being cancer free. So the thing is that I want to share with you is you do not know what tomorrow is going to bring. You do not know what type of situation that life is going to give you. But if you stay clean and sober, work the program of recovery one day at a time, your life will get better. And you'll overcome situations that will pop up in your life in your recovery. You have a great and wonderful day.